Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning for some folks dialing in, and welcome to the APAC Town Hall for the Google News Initiative's Journalism Emergency Relief Fund. Thank you all for joining. My name is Amy Moon, and I am on the News Partnerships team working for the Google News Initiative in APAC. With me today on the... Good afternoon or good morning for some folks. One sec. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulty. With me today on the call, we have Rowan Tiwari, who is the APAC Head of Partnerships for Media, News, and Entertainment, and also the head of the Google News Initiative for the region. As well, we have Irene J. Liu, who is the APAC lead for the Google News Lab, and she'll be leading the presentation today. So the purpose of this town hall is to discuss the Emergency Relief Fund, the application, eligibility requirements, and also to answer your questions. We want to thank you all so much for joining in and your interest in the fund. Just to be clear, this is intended to be an informational session, and we'll be answering questions about the fund only. Any questions specifically for the press, please reach out to press@google.com. And as we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, please add them to the live comments, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation in the order in which they were submitted. So I would like to now hand it over to Irene to get us through the presentation. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Amy. And so let me just switch the presentation over. And start from here. Okay, great. So as Amy mentioned, we are here to talk about the Journalism Emergency Relief Fund. And so the Relief Fund was announced 2 days ago, and it is part of an initiative of the Google News Initiative, which was founded in 2018 as Google's way to engage with the news industry and support the work of journalists as well as the businesses of news. So what is this fund about? Essentially, what we want to do is we want to support the production of original journalism for local communities in the face of this COVID-19 pandemic. This fund is global. It really is intended to help support journalists and news organizations all around the world, because the situation we're in is truly global. It's affecting pretty much every corner of the globe, and we know the important role that news plays in helping people access high quality information, which is really just a matter of life and death at this time. And we want to make sure that this program is an easily accessible route to financial assistance. So, as I mentioned, this program is global, and it is open to many geographies in the Asia Pacific region. The application launched 2 days ago, and it will be open for 2 weeks. Applications close on the 30th of April at roughly 3 p.m. Singapore time. However, this application process is rolling, which means that as applications come in, we will also be evaluating them as they come in. I apologize if you hear some traffic in the background here. So please, we really encourage you to apply as soon as possible. The reason being that as more and more applications come in, there will be a longer delay in how long it takes to evaluate the application. So the sooner you get it in, the sooner it will be evaluated. And if you're wondering which geographies in APAC are eligible for the fund, you can see this list here. This full list, as well as everything that we're talking about in this information session, is available on the Google News Initiative website. So if you need to refer back, please, of course, definitely go to that website. Also, this YouTube live is recorded, so you can absolutely feel free to come back to this link, rewatch the information session, and also share it with your colleagues if they are going to be the ones who are applying. So, in terms of eligibility, who is this fund for? This fund is really targeted at small and medium-sized news organizations producing original news content, specifically for local communities. Requirement is that these news organizations must have a digital presence that's been in operation for at least 12 months. And when we say digital presence, we mean your own website, your own branded destination for your news. You can also be producing content for TV, for radio, for a print newspaper or otherwise, but you must have your own branded digital presence. Also, because we are trying to focus on small and medium-sized news organizations, we are focused on newsrooms that are between 2 and 100 full-time employee journalists. So what does this mean? It means journalists are reporters, editors, photographers, people who are involved in the production of the news. And while the band is between 2 and 100, we understand that based on different regional differences, we may have to take that into consideration. So in fact, if your news organization has more than 100 full-time employee journalists, you should still apply, and we will consider it on a case-by-case basis. This includes for-profit as well as non-profit news organizations, print, digital, native, radio, and or TV broadcasters. So who is not eligible for this program? Government-owned entities and individuals are not eligible to apply. Really, this application and this fund is focused on those who are creating original news reporting. So content websites that really focus on lifestyle, sports, business-to-business news, unfortunately, are not going to be eligible for this fund. News providers that do not have a digital presence, their own branded content and destination site will not qualify. And you must be essentially a business that's been operating for more than 1 year. So any newly incorporated business that has been around for less than 12 months will not be eligible. So what's the process? In fact, it is quite short and straightforward. It really is very much focused on just sending your details and also what you plan on doing with the money. You can apply through our online form, and we really encourage you to do it as soon as possible. It really should not take very long. It's just a series of questions. Most of them are factual. There are 2 short answer questions that you do need to answer as well. The website is goo.gle/jerfund. Applications will be handled as they come in, and we will notify you of success by email as we go through the process. So it is a first come, first serve in terms of the evaluation. So we really encourage you to get ahead of the crowd and really apply sooner rather than later. One thing I will note is that this application process really assesses your application on the merits based on the eligibility requirements. It is not a competition. So as we suggest that you apply sooner rather than later so that you can make sure that you're in queue, we also would encourage you to share as much as you can information about this fund, because we really do want to reach as many news organizations as possible, particularly here in the Asia Pacific region. So what information is required? It's a very simple and quick to complete form. You need to basically provide some very basic company and organization information, including the date that you were founded. You must identify the location of your news organization. You must provide the website URL of your publication, and you must tell us briefly about the work you'll be carrying out to assist communities in crisis. Also, please submit your answers in English. You will see on the website that we have the website and the details and the terms and conditions in a number of languages. This is really to make this process more accessible. However, we do ask everyone to submit their answers in English for this. One thing you'll notice when you go on to the application is that it is a simple web form. You are able to save your answers for later, but personally, my recommendation is that you take, you really prepare the questions and your answers ahead of time, and then input them in one go, just to make sure it's easier. Depending on what language you're in, you will actually be able to find a PDF downloadable with all the questions available, which will allow you to essentially prepare your answers so that you can just basically copy and paste them in. For those of you who are applying in English, you will notice that there is not a link currently for a PDF. That will be uploaded in the next day or two. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But again, you'll see that essentially it's a very simple and straightforward series of questions. So definitely don't delay, get your application in. So how does the funding work? Funds will be dispersed in one installment as quickly as possible. So once you are notified of your successful application, you will have to sign an agreement and then go through the process of onboarding so that you can receive the payment. The funding will be in US dollars for this region. Funding amounts will range from the low thousands of dollars for small hyperlocal newsrooms to the low tens of thousands for larger newsrooms. And funding amounts will vary per region. So, tips. First thing is read the terms and conditions and the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, very carefully. Most of the questions that you will have are going to be answered on the website or the terms and conditions or the frequently asked questions. So definitely encourage you to really take a look at those resources. Download the application form ahead to complete it more easily. Describe in the short answer how you are serving your community during this crisis. This is an important aspect of the application. So really take the time to craft that answer carefully. And make sure that you only have one application per newsroom, as only one application will be considered. So that means that if you have a pretty large newsroom, please make sure you coordinate with your colleagues and really submit one application. And also do it now. Do it as soon as possible. The closing date is the 30th of April. But again, we really encourage you to get ahead of the queue and apply now. A reminder, no funding will be available for non-news providers. Individuals are not eligible, and government organizations are also not eligible. If you have any questions, as I mentioned, please do consult the terms and conditions as well as the website and frequently asked questions doc first. If you still have any questions or need some assistance or questions specifically relating to your own news organization's circumstances, feel free to email us at jerfund@google.com and apply at goo.gle/jerfund. At this time, I think we can move right into questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Irene. Just a reminder for folks that are on the call, if you have any questions, please type them into the live chat and we will answer them as they come in. Just to get us started, Irene, I was wondering, we've been getting some questions about the newsroom size eligibility. Can you reiterate again, like, if you're around 100, if you're a little bit over or even larger, what exactly are the criteria and how are we defining the journalist staff?
So the way to define what we consider to be journalism staff is very straightforward. Full-time employees who are involved in the editorial process. So that includes reporters, it includes editors, it includes videographers, photographers, camera people, and you must include everyone who is involved in the newsroom. So for example, if you are a print newspaper that also has a website, and a lot of news organizations actually have two separate teams, that it should include everyone who is working to produce news for your individual title. So for the name for your newspaper, including the digital staff. Now, we know that there are serious regional differences and that there are those news organizations that are serving local communities that may have a staff that exceeds 100. So if you exceed 100 staff, still apply, and we will consider those applications on a case-by-case basis. So the criteria is between 2 and 100 people on staff or staff editorial. However, if you do exceed that, you can apply and we will consider it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Another question that we frequently get is about the compared to other kind of Google funding programs, whether there's a specific theme. The Emergency Relief Fund is described to support small and medium-sized newsrooms for original reporting, but are there any other criteria in terms of a thematic requirement for their submissions?
So there aren't any thematic requirements here. We are concerned on we are in a special situation at the moment, which is the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So we are interested to know how your news organization is addressing this issue through original news reporting. So, but it's not just about health reporting. So just so that we're clear, the COVID-19 crisis is affecting every facet of life, whether it's the requirements for stay at home, whether it is the availability of important resources, food and supplies, or just the economy and jobs and supports. All of those aspects, as they affect individual lives and affect communities, is important. And we consider that all to be part of the local reporting process. So please don't think that we're only funding people or news organizations that are writing health stories about the specific crisis. It's really about making sure that all that essential information for people to live their lives right now is captured and really assisting local communities at this time. So definitely include any aspects of that in your application.
Okay, great. I don't think we have any other questions on the live chat, so maybe this will be the last one for the town hall. But Irene or Rowan, if you want to elaborate one more time just on the timeline, it is a pretty short window, and then also how the notifications will be working.
Rohan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure, I can actually. So I think while we've got all the information, we've got this open till about noon or 2 p.m. on 30th April. But my humble request to all of the applicants is do not wait for the last day. We are scanning, screening applications on a rolling basis. What we are doing is making sure that there's wide amount of outreach so that everyone understands what is the requirement out here. And like this town hall, you'll see a lot of town halls in the next week as well. But keep writing in if you have any questions. There is a standard email ID that Irene referred to. In terms of getting back the communications, you would hear back once your application is submitted. What is the final outcome is something that will happen in a 10-day period of time. And of course, then there's subsequent timelines on the actual fund timelines. But keep applying in. It's happening on a rolling basis is the key message out here, and we look forward to as many applications as we get.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rowan. So with that, I think we will wrap up. Just a quick reminder to everyone on the call that feel free to share this link with other folks. The recording of this town hall with Irene's presentation will be online. And as Rowan mentioned, we do have a number of other town halls scheduled for next week as well to accommodate the different time zones in APAC. So thank you everyone for dialing in, and please do apply soon. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.
Thank you.